UFC Sacramento, Hernandez versus Rodrigues goes down Saturday, August 22nd. I'm going to break down every fight on the card. Let's jump right in. We have got strawweights kicking us off. Dyer taking on Elise Reed. Reed is finally returning after about 15 months off, and I cannot imagine she's going to have much success here. When you're a strawweight who has been finished 5 times, it's not a good sign. Elise Reed tends to flake out when she faces adversity, and she does not take punches well. She can work well at times from distance. There's a bounce in her step and she has some good kicks. From the back, though, she has no chance of getting up. The younger Dyer should cook her here. Although she is somewhat hittable herself, she is much tougher than Reed. She can hurt Reed, outwork her over time since Reed gasses out a bit, or even have wrestling success here. We have seen Dyer shoot takedowns, and it is not hard to control Reed. The win condition for Reed would seem to be very narrow here, and she probably won't have finishing or grappling upside. She's coming off a long layoff, and I would expect her to slow as the fight draws on. The line for Dyer may not be wide enough. There were a lot of parlay cookers last week, but I think Dyer is a genuine parlay piece here. Give me Dyer KO 2. Oh boy, middleweights next. We got Jackson McVey taking on Wes Schultz. This fight is like a would you rather question. Would you rather get hurled off a cliff or get impaled with a pitchfork? One of these guys will flake out at the first sign of adversity, and the other couldn't grapple his way out of a paper bag. If McVey can whack Schultz on the feet or nail him in the clinch, then avoid getting swept or subbed on the ground, he should be in business here. Schultz is very fragile. Does not take much to break him. However, it is entirely possible that Schultz could reverse position when down, or even lock up a submission from his back. And of course, Schultz will attempt takedowns, albeit terrible ones. McVey has terrible takedown defense so far in the UFC. A hilarious statistic is that both these guys have 0% takedown defense and 0% takedown accuracy in the UFC so far. Schultz comes from a wrestling background, but many of his takedown attempts are pathetic. I'm gonna say if Schultz does get on top here, it's probably one and done. Schultz does have a very strong submission arsenal, but if Schultz does not find top position or a sub, I think he is going to be cooked. I said to myself after watching Schultz's last fight, I would not bet on him again, and I did cash on him against Johnston, but here we are. I've got to lean slightly towards Schultz here since McVey has no grappling. And of course, these guys did fight before as amateurs. Schultz nailed him with a first round armbar. I'm going to go with the same thing here. Give me Schultz, round 1 submission. Young going up against newcomer Stanley Dorsainvil. Dorsainvil, he is a newcomer taking the fight on short notice. I actually like this guy quite a bit. He pressures forward consistently with combinations. He's big. He has a lot of takedowns in the tank. And so far, he has not lost as a professional. However, he can get sloppy in grappling exchanges at times, and I think he'll be hittable as he comes forward. Young can be taken down, but he is scrappy and usually works back up when taken down. He also has great stamina and volume. I think he can land jabs on the retreat as Dorsainvil comes forward. He's going to be able to provide a steady stream of return fire for Dorsainvil, I think. And if taken down, I do think Young can get back up. I believe the line is pretty accurate. I expect Young to get this one done more times than not, especially against a short notice opponent. But Dorsainvil might be able to create damage off his takedowns or even hurt Young. Although Young is durable, he is not hard to hit. Give me Young by decision, but he could find a KO over time here. Featherweights next. Marcio Barbosa versus Ryan Kuse. Barbosa has abnormal power for the division, and he isn't one of these guys who's just going to wait to land one huge strike. He's going to walk you down while moving his head, start throwing bombs. He doesn't even have to load up so much on his strikes. It's just everything he throws is a nuke. His jabs are nukes. As a result, almost all his wins are first round knockouts. Kuse isn't a terrible fighter, but a loss to Cameron Smotherman, is not a good look on his record. He has some okay kicks and has not been knocked out yet. He also has a little wrestling. In theory, he can move around a little here and work from range, maybe tie in some wrestling. We don't see Barbosa have to defend a ton of grappling, but he will probably be able to shuck off most takedown attempts here. And most likely, Barbosa will do what he normally does, which is close the distance and find power shots that finish Kuse in round 1. I think the line is a little crazy. We've seen Barbosa fold in round 2 multiple times before, and there are some unknowns about him. However, he's definitely special. He has abnormal power and really skillful pressure boxing. So give me Barbosa, round 1 knockout. Next, we've got lightweights. Nasrat Haqparast taking on Chris Taco Padilla. This is the most closely lined fight on the card right now, and for good reason. Padilla fights are tough to call. He is known for his pressure and pace, for making fights really gritty. He comes forward with a high guard and looks to drown opponents with his output. Mixes in some clinch strikes and wrestling as well. He does have some nice kicks. Also, Haqparast more strictly is a boxer. He has more power than Padilla, and he can whack him as he comes forward. Body shots will definitely be available to Haqparast here. In the fight he had with Jared Gordon, though, he did slow after being pressured. A lot of this fight just comes down to whether Haqparast can do enough damage early to get the nod over Padilla. He'll be able to land a lot of shots, and he does do a good job of blocking opponent strikes with his guard. We don't see people try to take Padilla down often, so wrestling could be useful for Haqparast as the fight goes on. Padilla might be able to break Haqparast down. I think that's what a lot of people are seeing here. I'm going to lean Haqparast by decision, but this could play out very close. I would want plus money to bet either of these guys here. We got heavyweights next. Shamil Gaziev taking on Kennedy and Nzechukwu. Another closely lined fight. I have never been high on Shamil Gaziev. He is ultra hittable. He can be chinny. His stamina is non-existent, and his wrestling isn't great in my opinion. I think he maybe has one takedown in the tank before he gasses. And Nzechukwu, on the other hand, is not reliable. He has a big frame, fights as a southpaw. He's way more athletic here. However, his decision making is terrible. He has Saif Sayoud yelling to him from the corner, but he doesn't listen to a word he says. I think Gaziev will be pressuring here. I could see him having a little trouble with the range, but if he works Nzechukwu to the fence, I could see him shooting on that double leg he likes, and he might be able to get it. Might be able to hold Nzechukwu down. But he doesn't have great control, and we have seen Nzechukwu able to work his way back to his feet at times. If Nzechukwu can work back to his feet even once, I'm going to say that's a wrap. Gaziev will be exhausted. Either of these guys could land an early KO. However, I'm going to lean toward Nzechukwu weathering the early storm, adequately defending the grappling, because I don't really think Gaziev's wrestling is anything special. He mostly just has a double leg that he doesn't get low enough on. And once he gets tired, Nzechukwu has a good chance of finishing him. So give me Nzechukwu by round 2 KO. If he does get the plus money, I would say he's a decent bet. Next, we've got featherweights. Jamal Emmers taking on Le'Heon Douglas. Douglas has ridiculous power, and we can't trust the durability of Emmers at this point. I also don't like how Emmers often exposes himself as he throws combinations, but I think we need to pump the brakes on Douglas a little bit. He's not super big for the division. He can get backed up against the fence. He shells up way too much, and I think he's breakable. While I do think Douglas will find the early knockout with one of those haymakers he throws, if Emmers can make him miss and start digging to the body a bit, things are going to get ugly for Douglas. Now, I hate having to rely on someone to just land a big shot, but it probably happens here. Emmers is a good grappler, but Douglas probably defends most takedown attempts. He's strong, he has a good whizzer, and a good sprawl. Give me Douglas by KO1, but I am considering a bet on Emmers if this line gets too wide. There are a lot of things about Douglas I don't like. Next, with the heavyweights, Anthony Wint taking on Terrence Chatman. Wint just fought last Tuesday on Contender Series, and he's immediately jumping into the UFC after landing a big first-round knockout win. Didn't take much time at all. He's a big favorite, unsurprisingly here. This guy is a former New York Jets linebacker and is a freak athlete. His opponent, Chatman, has okay boxing, seems like a Samoan kind of guy to me, has some striking fundamentals and an okay chin by the looks. However, he is at a severe athleticism disadvantage. He's very chubby and definitely cannot fight at a high pace. You can see this in his fights. We also have not seen him challenge too much in the grappling department, which could get exposed here. I would never advocate for a price like this on Wint. This guy Chatman can box little, but Wint should be able to take him down or outwork him in an extended fight. Let's be honest, he can probably just smoke him on the feet as well, because Wint has ridiculous explosiveness. Give me Wint KO1, but who knows, he could even submit this guy. We really don't know much about Chatman's grappling. Female flyweights next. Carly Judice taking on Jesla Chaves. I love Carly Judice. I think she will continue to destroy most women in the division. Hard to believe Chaves is still undefeated. She did struggle a fair amount in her last 2 fights and won both those by split decision. I think the party's over though. Judice is known for her ridiculous volume. She pressures forward non-stop, has a lot of skills you usually don't see from women, like good head movement, good angles, and ability to move in and out. She also has some great kicks, including a head kick she whacked Judice with a few fights ago. All these skills, along with her cardio, allow Judice to dramatically outwork her opponents on the feet. Chaves isn't bad, but she is not at the same level of athleticism as Judice. We've seen Chaves has grappling in her back pocket, but I don't think she'll be able to set anything up to break the balance of Judice and get her down. And when Chaves has ended up down, she's looked pretty bad. She doesn't have a ton off of her back. Chaves can actually work off the back foot okay with her boxing and can hit some angles of her own, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think she'll be able to react quickly to Judice and keep pace with her throughout the fight. I think she'll ultimately get drowned. I'm on the fence about whether a Judice decision or knockout is more likely. I'll say knockout though. Give me Judice round 1 knockout. Next, lightweights. Markel Mederos taking on Mason Jones. I'm a huge fan of Mason Jones. I had 2 units on him in his last fight against Sola. You can go back to my breakdown for that fight. I love his skill set. He pressures, he uses zoning well, meaning he slips slightly out of range of his opponent's strikes and returns fire. He mixes all the weapons excellently. Likes to hit elbows and knees from the tie clinch. Great kicks and really solid boxing. He also can wrestle too. He is particularly exceptional in the art of judo. The problem is, with all that pressure, he will get hit and even hurt. He's tough and has not been finished up to now, but the amount of damage he takes is concerning. Mederos is a guy I'm not too high on. He's athletic and he's dynamic with his stance switches, likes calf kicks, and has a sharp jab with some combinations. My problems with him are that he can also be hittable, he can slow down big time, and I hate his grappling. If Mason Jones starts working him against the fence, I think he can find repeated takedowns and really wear on him. Of course, even if there is no wrestling, I think Jones can get to Mederos with his pressure and break him down, make him tired, start blocking and countering well. The issue I have with this price is that Mederos could potentially hurt Jones or even slice him open with an elbow. We saw Mederos do that in his last fight against Taco Chris Padilla. If we were getting the same price we got against Sola, this would be an easy Jones bet, but for now, I'm going to stay away, see where it goes. Give me Jones by decision here, although I could see a late finish. And next, light heavyweights. Rainier de Ridder taking on Roman Dolidze. 2 guys moving up from middleweight here. RDR is finally back to his natural weight class, and I agree with him being a big favorite. Although he can be sloppy on the feet, he continually pressures forward and has good activity in the clinch. I do think it's a problem when he gets taken down. He can get caught on his back for a while. So that is one path for Dolidze. Maybe get some offensive wrestling going. Or since RDR is so hittable, maybe there's a small chance Dolidze could catch RDR with something on the feet. Ultimately though, I see way more issues on the Dolidze side than on the RDR side. Dolidze is slower than death. He loads up on everything and seems to get sluggish easily. RDR looks sluggish too, but that's just his natural state. He fights well somehow when he looks like that. I think RDR could get top time if Dolidze is playing with jiu-jitsu nonsense and rolling for legs. I think RDR is going to stay heavy enough on top to avoid being submitted, and he has never been submitted so far as a professional. I think RDR will outwork him in the clinch, and from range he can land his long jab. So I like RDR to get it done by decision, and I like the over 2.5 rounds at -140. We got heavyweights in the co-main event. Sergey Spivac taking on Vitor Petrino. I don't know what the deal is with Spivac's last fight against D'Elia. Did his striking improve that much, or was D'Elia just doing terrible? Because I was watching that fight and thinking, Spivac's just using a jab over and over. He's just trading jabs with D'Elia and getting the best of him, making his face look really, really bad, marking him up significantly. But I don't think there's necessarily any crazy evolution in Spivac's striking. He just figured out how to jab and how to position himself a bit better. He is still pretty heavy on his feet, and that might be a problem here. Spivac has been knocked out many times, and we did see even D'Elia rock him in his last fight. So if he gets too close, he'll be vulnerable to Petrino's big hooks. Also, I think it'll be somewhat difficult to take Petrino down. Even with some of the judo Spivac has in his back pocket, I think it'll be hard to work down the stronger Petrino, who is an absolute physical specimen. We see over and over, though, that Petrino does not like pressure and that you can gas him out with pressure. If Spivac can somehow make this guy work without being finished, I think he might be in business. I just am not too sure he has the tools to do it. So give me Petrino, knockout in round 1. I might be tempted on a Spivac dog bet since I don't like Petrino that much, but I'd need better odds for that. Finally, in the main event, we've got middleweights. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez taking on Gregory Robocop Rodrigues. I agree with the line quite a bit here, and if it drops, I may have to play Fluffy. Robocop is exceedingly dangerous. He's a massive middleweight, cuts a ton for his fights. He's touted as an elite grappler, but he seldom likes to wrestle. He prefers to just get the job done with his big mitts and smoke people down the pipe with his 1s and 2s. Even though Fluffy has a good chin, he will not want to eat anything clean from this guy. We do see Fluffy get hurt to the body a lot, like in his last fight against Sean Strickland. I actually sided with Strickland in the video I did for that fight. Robocop doesn't target the body a ton, but he will occasionally, and he's got some good kicks. He can work to all levels. So Robocop could land a big shot here, especially with the way Fluffy comes forward. Fluffy does do a good job of parrying strikes as he pressures and moving his head a little bit, so not everything lands too clean. Wrestling may be good for him here. Even though Robocop is much stronger than him and will be able to defend most takedowns, as well as probably get back up, Robocop is a gasser, and that's the key disadvantage he has in this fight. He cannot fight at a high pace for extended periods of time. We saw this against Jared Cannonier and even in the second round against Brad Tavares before he went back to the stool and got that early round 3 finish. If Fluffy can make Robocop tired and reduce his punching power, he should cook him. He can land that nice low kick that Robocop doesn't usually defend too well and then piece him up with the jab. Robocop will be dangerous early, and this could make it harder for Fluffy to pressure, but I believe if Fluffy can get this guy to gas out a bit, he will be able to win a decision or find a late finish. Give me Fluffy by decision. And that's going to do it. We got through all the fights. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. You can leave a nice comment, or you can leave a mean comment. I don't care which. And I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.